wala pa namang, hindi pa kailangan yan, pero I said we will prepare. Now, there is a certain area which was donated by a Chinese philanthropist na hindi nagamit. I don't know why, because that was really intended for the rehabilitation of addicts, yung addicted to Cebu. Ang problema kasi nito, well, tapos na eh. It's too late to be. Alam mo, sabi nila malayo. So they opted to have this community-based rehabilitation. You know, any expert about rehabilitation of addiction to anything, drugs, alcohol, you are removed away from your place of residence. Kaya nga that is a part of the regimen, so that to train you really and to make you, you know, feel the loss of family, friends, house, community, if you are not sincere in being rehabilitated. You have to work out these sentiments by yourself na gusto mong umuwi sa anak mo. Kung itong dito sa malayo, dito sa malapit, kung community-based, tapos sa gabi wala rin magwardya, nothing doing. That was my misgivings actually when that was started. Pero because of the hysteria, ang nabasa ko noon, well, I said I was a prosecutor. I was a trial prosecutor. And early on, I was already reading materials about rehab and addiction, how it affects your physical being. Yun ang nangyari. But that building, I think the first building is vacant, not used. Problem is, I think, si Governor ayaw niya. Nandyan sa Fort Magsaysay, that building is inside a national government reservation. Maluwang yan. So marami akong ilagay dyan kung ang contagion actually, it's epidemic if it is just regional or local or national. It is pandemic if it is worldwide. So, yun ang ko. Or, I can, well, I will expropriate. Kunin ko yung building mo, whether you like it or not, in times of emergency, I can always, it is confiscatory in nature. You confiscate. Then you make it a hospital. Bring in the equipment and you stay there inside the building where the egress and ingress is controlled. And lahat yung, remember my SARS, every regional office in the country was ordered to provide a space, and there was a vehicle provided by the government which was, washed over with disinfectant para to minimize contamination. Now, here is a problem. Sabi ng mga experts, it could be transmitted from person to person, person to animal, animal to animal. So what says Tugade, Secretary Tugade of the sa transportation asked if it can be also contaminated in inanimate things. Ang sabi na yung doorknob, merong traces sila nakita. That's according to the WHO. It is not confirmed as really a valid reason to avoid it, but there are indications that it can be transmitted also by inanimate things, meaning to say, yung hinawakan niya, hawakan mo rin, yun. Yun ang problema. So yung incoming, ang tao lang binabantayan mo, hindi mo binabantayan yung cargo. But if the cargo itself can pass it on to human beings or to animals, that is really a problem. It's not, it is not confirmed as valid, but indications earlier studies showed that it can be possibly this. If you say, is it possible? The question would really be like this: would it be possible that these things can be passed on from one person to another by touching inanimate things? Yung walang buhay. Yun. So, yun ang isa. Ngayon, kung anong klaseng airline, may mga Chinese. And sabihin, magtanong kayo kung I will bar the Chinese from entering. The answer, of course, is no. That is an utter disrespect to a human being. At kung meron man, if there are Chinese found positive, and we do not want them to travel to further aggravate the situation, we can assure the Chinese government that we too will help. And this kind of mentioning the Chinese and blaming them, it's like xenophobia. You eat anything that is Chinese, it is not good because we have, I said, so many. And not only that, one is that we have many Filipinos in China. Second is, even if there are none, you know, we are a community of nations. We cooperate. China has been kind to us. We can only also show the same favor to them. Stop this xenophobia thing about, kasi ang gusto ko masabi nila, na yung ito ngayon, they're blaming the Chinese na galing sa China. It can always, how would you call this, incubate in some other places. It happened in China, at least the first. Yun lang. But that is not the fault of anybody. Not of the Chinese, not of the Filipinos, not of anyone. It is really the world has passed on many kind of problem to the generations earlier. We had the flu that killed so many millions in Europe and some other contagion of a lesser scale. But it would, kagaya ng SARS, I assure you, even without the vaccines, it will just die in natural death. Apparently, itong mga ganito, mga virus, ano to? It's a HIV, nawala na. Meron ko kunti na lang. HIV 5 or 10 years ago was a dreaded disease, and everybody was afraid of it, to the extent that it cut the pleasures of the world. Takot lahat mga HIV kasi baka so ayaw na lang. So almost everybody became a celibate of overnight. May mga ganun, but it will die in natural death. Ito, matatapos din ito. But would it worsen in the meantime? Maybe. But, you know, the progress of medical science now is far too different from of the years. Noon, hindi pa masyado. But we have powerful medicines now that even cancer is treatable now. You cannot die of karamihan mo naman, hindi ka naman talaga mamatay. HIV, you don't die of HIV. You die because your body is weakened by the virus, and then the bacteria will take over, and that is pneumonia. Ganito rin yan. By itself, hindi yan. Hindi nga natin alam yung coronavirus na yan. But lahat na matay is pneumonia. So it would just indicate that there is a virus that weakens your body and would really destroy your white corpuscles, your antibodies. And when those are depleted, bacteria enters the picture, and usually you die of pneumonia.
Good evening, Mr. President. Sir, meron lang allegation na sa China, kinukonsil yung totoong number of affected Chinese ng nCoV. And dito sa atin, meron ba tayong assurance na meron tayong transparency at hindi sinasanitize yung mga data? Kasi nagulat yung marami nung nag-announce kayo bigla na may namatay na Chinese. Since ang sinasabi nyo ay under observation pa lang yung Chinese na yun nung before, and hindi naman siya yung talagang main carrier ng virus.
No. He was already yung earlier surveillance and his history. But wala namang na sinabi na yung kanyang homegrown coronavirus. Nalaman lang nila lang yan kung namatay na yun. Wala naman tinago doon. We will not, this I can assure you, this government will never hide anything. If it says that you're going to die tomorrow because of this conflict, it's a contagion all over, we will tell you that. If it would cost you lives, we will not hide that. Why should we? It's a reality. Whether you admit it or not, you have to bury the dead. So what is there to hide? It's not a treasure. It is not something of value to us. It does not contribute to the national wealth. Why should we hide? Why should we hide it from the press? When we are supposed to tell the press, that go to the world and announce that there is this thing that's happening, and this is what we should be doing.
And then, sir, follow-up. Sir, yung DOH nag-a-advise sa public na magsuot ng face mask, pero ang reality, wala talagang mabili sa market. So, meron ba kayong plan to at least emergency procurement para
Yes.
magkaroon ng supply?
We are procuring and we have supplies coming in. The supply is depleted because there is an emergency and there's a need for it. So everybody is buying. That's the reason why there is a scarce supply in the market. Without the virus, the masks are not being sold by the thousand. May virus kaya yung virus ang nagpamahal niyan. But if you're asking, is government doing something to buy more, to protect more? Yes, we are doing it. We are not just sitting down here. That's why we called for this conference. And we have resources coming in. We do not want to give you the expectations because that's something which cannot be delivered almost all on time. And sometimes when we announce it, it is taken differently, in a different light.
Sir, last na lang po. Sir, napag-usapan niyo po ba yung worst case scenario ng nCoV dito sa ating bansa? And meron na po bang preparations about this?
Again, ma'am,
yung worst case scenario, sir, kung sakaling magkaroon ng local transmission dito sa ating bansa, napag-usapan ba during the emergency meeting?
Yes. You have a very hard-working Secretary of Health. And he's very sincere in his job. This is not the second time that has entered government. In another president, he also was a Secretary of Health. I got him because he is just really good. That is why.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Unless you still want to take questions, the press.
Yes, it's 9:35. Is your time correct?
Yes, Mr. President.
Is it? Okay.
We can end the press con already.
Well, we can have the whole night. Dinner will be served at...
Malacanang press corps is already okay with a press conference, Mr. President. They don't have questions anymore.
Sige na, kasi marami kasi, this coronavirus scaring people all over the country. It's the response of the people from the initial reports of coronavirus was almost hysterical when there was really no need for it, actually. And if there is really a virus going around, why do you have to be hysterical? Why don't you just go to the hospital and have yourself treated? Or if you want quarantined, if you suspect that if you have acquired kaya wala akong nakita nag-ubo. Bakit? Pinipigilan ninyo? Kaya namumula yung mukha ninyo eh. You are suffocating yourself. Feel free. We do not... Ay, ako magkati yung...
Ace Romero of the Philippine Star has a question.
Mayor, aside from China, there are also other countries that have been affected by the nCoV. Are there any plans to expand the travel ban to include travelers from other countries aside from China?
We know it's always good to go by the WHO. They have all the informations, they have their headquarters. I think somewhere in Hague. Is it? In Geneva. Oh, kaya nga, sa Geneva. They have the headquarters there. They have all the computers. They have all the inputs. And they would know what to do. We go by the regulations that will be given out by the WHO. We cannot act on our own. This is something which would require the discipline for everybody and to follow the governing entity, which is the WHO.
So the temporary ban will just be limited to China and the special administrative regions for
Yes.
now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Administrative regions. And the administrative regions are Macau and Hong Kong.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
No. Salamat rin.
Thank you. Ace. No more questions. Francis? Francis?
Now is the time to ask so that you will not be, you do not play into the hands of this rebel rouser about painting a bleak world for us. Of course, there would be this kind of things that will happen in one generation or another.
Francis Wakefield from the Daily Tribune.
Sir, good evening po. Sir, tanong lang namin po, considering yung health niyo po, sir, di ba, na 74 na kayo, will you limit your engagement, public engagements po, considering na yung threat nga po ng virus sa country?
Me personally, you're asking me personally. Well, of course, I'll tell you
Yes,
what.
sir.
I just said a little while ago, I don't know if you heard it. When my time comes, it will come. When your time comes, we will know, because you will be absent. And we will not see you anymore. How sure are you that you will die? Or how sure are you that I will die of? Or maybe even to speculate that I shake hands and get the virus. Of course, I shake hands. We just shoot each other in the chains of command. I have to shake hands with people. You know, alam mo, presidente ako. Hindi naman ako posible. Bye-bye. Hi. Okay, how are you? Good. And if somebody would extend his hand to any gesture of handshake, huwag na lang muna yan. Kaya, you know, when my time comes, you will know. Because I will go out of Malacanang in a funeral car. Ano, panahon-panahon itong maniwala niyang
Thank you,
What
Malacanang Press Corps. Thank you. Mr. President, that ends our press conference.
ina, wala ka ng pahabol. Nandoon pa naman sa labas siguan. You know, I said, keep faith with humanity. And, you know, since then, I said, noon ang cancer was a death warrant. Now, cancer, wala na. You can still live, although you'll not be, it will not be equality life, because they're always in pain, or maybe taking medications. But if you're asking, or if you know about death, hindi na masyado. And I'm sure I said that every nation who has the resources would already are at work to find out a solution or a way out. Malay mo yung atin, the Filipinos are also doing it. They are conducting. Who knows that tayo ang makauna makita. But there is always a solution to the problem. Yung mga ganito, you can be sure there will be a solution. Do not be afraid of a pandemic style. This is not the year. This is not, I said, the yesteryears when yung flu, Spanish flu, but German flu, Spanish flu. The best way is na mabuti no walang Filipino flu. tayo ang the most resilient. Palagi ko hindi aabot dito yan. Kagaya ng SARS. SARS midway just disappeared. It came suddenly and disappeared suddenly. Ganon yung mga contagion yan. It has a lifespan and it loses steam. Because people over time also acquire immunity. Yung doon sa China na doon sa mga exotic na animals, wala mang namatay doon. Paano hinigop na nila lahat yung totoo. May nabalitaan kayo? Ang namatay doon, hindi yung nakita mo na doon sa pinikula na aso, pusa, lahat na. Pati yung hita na tinatadta doon, mukhang tao yun. No, not really. I'm not saying that. I apologize in advance to the Chinese people. I'm just being funny, but those exotic foods, maybe. Wala mang namatay doon sa mga gago. Yung mga inosente man. Totoo, because over time, they have acquired dahan-dahan. Gaya ng sa Davao, nagtanong ako. I mean, no offense intended to my fellow men, ha? Nagtanong ako sa Davao, ilan ang namatay dyan sa boulevard na yung tabing dagat talaga ang bahay, hindi yung facing the road. Ilang namatay dyan, kap sa inyo, dinggin. Sabi niya, wala. Kung ikaw, barangay captain, wala. Okay lahat. Marunong sila kumain, robust. Kinakain sila ng lamok paggabi, robust pa rin. In other words, there is always a compensating thing. And marunong ang Diyos eh. Lalo na yung mga PRES na bakakon. Mauna yan. Ano ninyo anong bakakon? Liar! Joke lang. Joke lang yun. Pero marami talaga yung mga bakakon. Bakakon is a Visayan, is lying, sinungaling. Bakakon. Wala na? Karami ninyo, yun lang ang walang question.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members of the press. Good night.
Actually, and I'm sorry, I know that we were eating. Were you eating also? Because if you can wait, I can ask the cook to cook for you. Magkain tayo dito. If you want it. If you want to have a late dinner. Kung gusto lang ninyo. Let me ask you frankly, kumain kayo o hindi dito? Pinakain kayo dito? Aking pagkakaw. Kasi ayaw ko yung gusto ko na. Totoo, ganun ako. Nga pag kasama ako, wala kang problema. Pati yung, yung kinakain ng driver ko, yun ang pagkain ko. Doon you know, when I eat, doon sa bahay ko, yung gwardiya ko, when I eat, kasama yan sa mesa. Yung sundalo, kasama ko mag-dinner. Tindig niya, pag serve niyan, bata, alika. Kain lahat. Ano pa? Mukhang hindi kayo gusto mo mag-rumble tayo. Ay, nobody's moving.
Thank you, sir.